Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
Hey, this is Rob Dew over at Infowars.com. We just got done watching Kill the Messenger. Got a big group of us here. If you want to take a quick pan of that, we got Kit Daniels, Jakari, McBreen, Biggs, David Knight, and little Travis Knight joined us as well. We had a big crew. Overall, I think it was a great movie. I want to say one thing at the end. They show this map of all the places where the drug flows were going, and they neglected to show Mena, Arkansas, which we know for a fact was an airstream that people were using. And did you notice how they forgot that one?
I didn't know.
It goes to Florida, it goes up to Missouri, it goes up to L.A. John Kerry's talking how there was involvement, and he was out there to find the culprits of the CIA Contra drug connection. But, of course, they failed to mention that. And they also failed to, what you mentioned, show the Mike Rupert part of the hearings that were being held with John Deutsch and Maxine Waters. They failed to actually show him coming out and saying he was listing operations that he was recruited for, working for the police department, the LAPD back in the 80s and 90s. So, but overall, it's a great movie. You should definitely go see it. It'll rewire a lot of things that happened. I was alive in the 90s, and I remember all that stuff, but kind of vaguely. And one thing they do point out was that the Monica Lewinsky scandal kind of overshadowed the 400-page report that the CIA probably released during the height of that time.
That always happens.
I know. There's always a report like that. So that's all I got to say. Whoever wants to go next.
I thought it was an awesome movie.
Yeah.
I thought it was a great movie. I mean, but it's crazy, you know, when real journalism, that's what that was. Going out there and risking your life and putting everything on the line for something like that. And for me, it hits home because that's what Michael Hastings did. Real reporter went out and, you know, they're saying that he was shot twice and it was ruled suicide. So, and it's a revolver. I mean, I guess I'm not a weapons expert being in the military for 10 years, but I find it hard to believe that you can pull the trigger to a revolver that second time and be able to hit yourself in the head without, you know, have already dropped into the ground after that first shot. You know, and then same thing with Michael Hastings, his engine flying down the road, and then after, you know, before hitting a tree. So it's just a crazy, crazy thing. But that's real journalism, putting your life on the line to expose the truth, and that's what we're all here for.
I'll tell you this, coming out of Hollywood, it was a pleasant surprise that they did mention that he did shoot himself twice in the head.
Yeah,
I figured they were going to say, being a typical Hollywood movie, that this was a suicide.
Yeah.
You know, being an Infowars report, I think all of us here can agree that Gary Webb is an inspiration. We can all identify with Gary Webb. I would have liked to have seen, I'm glad they mentioned Oliver North, you know?
Yeah.
But I would have liked to have seen Luis Posada Caliles, Felix Rodriguez, a whole host of other characters that could have been in this film as well. What do you think?
My thoughts about it, really enjoyed the film as well. They bring up the point in the movie. I thought they did a real good job showing the two sides of the argument. Gary Webb doing his research, and then his newspaper people saying, well, we don't know about this source, we don't know about that source. This source changed their story, which does happen a lot in news media. I'm sure controversial Kid Daniels can tell you more about that. But I think it was very well done. I really liked how they hit on Rick Ross. He wasn't a big part of the movie, but they showed you about that. All you kids out there who listen to Rick Ross, MIAO, this is the real Rick Ross. If you want to learn some history, you can come and watch this movie and find out about it.
And check out the interviews Alex did with Rick Ross.
Yeah.
I mean, long-form interviews, just going off about what really happened in the 80s with the crack cocaine coming in. This guy could not sell it fast enough.
Oh, yeah, that's a real good point. I'll say this and then I'll move on. A very common sense approach. You look at a guy like Rick Ross, right? They've done this in all the, you know, drug movies in South Central, whatever. These guys are low-level drug dealers. They're raised in the projects. They come from broken homes. How do these guys get all the money, all the resources to get the dope here? These guys don't have big planes when they start off. How does the dope get here? That's just a very basic question. Even if you don't want to say it was government this or whoever that, somebody brought the dope in that wasn't, you know, these guys in South Central or wherever else they came from.
Yeah, and I want to say that Gary Webb was the last of a rare breed. You don't see you don't see investigative journalism anymore in mainstream media. What you see now is a max exodus of former investigative journalists going into alternative media. And what you also see is the Obama administration cutting ties with the media. They're cutting press access, which you and me saw back in April. And also when Obama came, they pushed the press away. So this is a very good movie to see how controlled the mainstream media is today and why the alternative media is growing.
Also, how they'll attack you.
I was
as
character
you go about.
assassination to say
Yeah.
they have embedded reporters that are ready, nationwide. Embedded reporters that are CIA, that are attack dogs that'll attack you if you report the truth. So,
I would
and
just
that
tell
film
people
illustrated that.
I would encourage you to come see this. It's a very entertaining film. It's a very well-made film. If somebody doesn't know the history of what's going on with this, it really lays it out very well. And if you want to wonder if our government would bring a plague into this country, or even just stand aside and let it happen because it suits their political means, it feeds a war that they want to have going, or whatever, they've already done it. They did it with crack cocaine. And so if you have questions about Ebola or their motives or their methods, this really exposes a method because it really doesn't change. Really good film. See it with somebody, especially if they don't know the history. And then check out the interviews that Alex Jones had with Freeway Ricky Ross, as well as with Gary Webb. Gary Webb was specifically asked by Alex Jones, are you going to commit suicide? And he said, absolutely not. Just like the DC Madam, just like so many other people. And then we see that he was shot twice in the head as suicide.
Travis,
I thought it was a great film, really well directed, great performance by Jeremy Renner. Other than that, I agree with them. It's really powerful.
Hurt Locker Hawkeye.
Powerful cast. There's a lot of good.
Yeah, really good cast.
Yeah, great cast, great movie. Go see it, support it, good film.
It kept me on the edge of my seats nonstop. I was literally like, I kept poking McBreen like, this is awesome. Like, to see him actually tell something like this, and like you said, a lot of the facts that they were
Very
really
refreshing.
willing
Very
to able to
refreshing
like put out here in the film without smothering it. So I recommend it all the way. It's one of the best films I've seen in a while. Love it.
Yeah, if I could add something real quick. It's a very good movie to show you the complexity of government that people don't realize how intricate different levels of government is with the CIA. They just kind of see what the mainstream media tells them. They think our government is simpler than what it actually is. You have so many different levels of players. It's almost like a layer cake.
So I think we're unanimous. Go see it. Thumbs
Five
up.
Paul
Infowars.
Revere's. I think we're going to give it definitely
Five
a 5 Paul Revere's.
All right.
Tell us what you think in the comments below if you've seen the movie, or what you think about the Gary Webb stuff in general. If you've read his book, Dark Alliance, what do you think of that as compared to watching the movie? Put your thoughts down in the comments below. Check out more videos at Infowars.com. And this is Rob Dew with the rest of the crew signing off. We'll see you next time.
Yep.
Hey.